Hello, my name is Jim Putnam. We're going to jump right into this garden transformation video. Make sure you stick around to the end because there's 10 very distinct, interesting garden transformations of subscribers of the HortTube with Jim Putnam YouTube channel. This one, I love getting these kind of before photos where there's just nothing there. This is from Reggie down in Aiken, South Carolina in zone 8A. And you can see he's got, just a blank slate. They've been gardening in this house for about 11 years. And here's some of the garden beds that they've put in. I can tell that larger shrub up to the front there looks like a Marvel Mahonia to me. I may be wrong, but you can see the transition out in this space from what was a wooded space into these interesting looking, great looking beds throughout. All the shrubs, everything looks very, very healthy out in this space. And then another area to the side of that, we could see a little bit of the angle of that. This is a before of looks like an outdoor sink in a shed, like a chicken coop or something like that. And look at this incredible transformation that this space underwent. You have the tree form hydrangea paniculata, and then and it's underplanted with lots of other interesting things. Really, it's just one of those changes that it just wows me when I open the email, and I see one of these befores like this and afters. How far this space has come, and how great it looks, and has that really interesting path that leads you around behind, which there's mystery behind there. So you want to. I love these types of spaces where you have a path and it's like, where's the path go? Let's follow it around and see the backside of this garden as well. So thank you very much to Reggie for sending these in from Aiken, South Carolina. Thank you guys so much for participating in these before and after garden transformation videos. I asked for these emails and boy did you guys deliver. I probably have 150 plus still in the queue for these videos, and if I put 10 in each time it's going to be a little while, but I'd love to continue to get some of these great photos, and you can send them to the horttube@gmail.com email address, and make sure you're out there taking before pictures. If you're working on a project, having before photos is fantastic because sometimes it can take years to get where you're going when you're creating a new garden, and so it's always nice to have something to look back on and see how far you've come. These photos were sent from Samari down in Georgia, zone 7B. You have these, larger growing ornamental grasses. Looks like maybe some sort of miscanthus. If I was guessing what ornamental grass that is, some sort of miscanthus. When I design around the foundation of a house, I love deciduous plants. I love things that go to sleep during the winter. I have no problem with them. If you follow this channel, you know how many annuals I have that are gone during the winter, and perennials that go to sleep during the winter, shrubs that lose their leaves, trees that lose their leaves. I don't mind things going to sleep at all, but I do like to have some evergreen things around the foundation of the house. So for me, if I was inheriting this, I would probably move these grasses out into a space and cluster them together somewhere to create, because I love the way grasses move around in the air with air movement, and this wall is probably going to prevent some of what makes grasses great anyway. So they've come back in here and to remove those ornamental grasses, and they've used some radiance abelia and some nightlight cameocyparis. That nightlight cameocyparis I've had in many videos, that round gold chartreuse conifer. It's a great plant, really holds up in the southern heat, but for really almost anybody watching in the north, what a great plant as well. Super soft to the touch conifer. And then there's radiance abelia, or the lower mounding plants. They'll bloom pretty much all summer. Pollinators love them. Really almost no maintenance. So they've gone for a very, very low maintenance space here. Those things will grow in and fill in together over a few years. And I think maybe this is a little more progressed. You can see it starting to fill in there. And again, this is an extremely, extremely low maintenance thing, and it's going to be pretty much it's going to be the same 12 months out of the year. Thanks for sending these in. These next photos are from Nancy and her husband Charlie. I actually don't know what zone or city these are in, but they wrote me a really nice note about having watched the channel for a long time and taken a lot of what I talk about to heart. So they have this, really beautiful ranch, style home, and there's a lot of boxwoods across there. It's either boxwoods or Japanese hollies, one or the other. And they took them out and have done, just an amazing transformation of this house. Again, I've talked about this in the other videos, where if you don't If you can't put height up against the foundation, if your windows are super low, sometimes you need to bring that height out into the front, out further from the, from the envelope of the house in order to not block windows. This is an amazing little transformation here in their back garden. Boom. What a great looking space this is. I'll go back to that. Just amazing. 4-year, 5-year transformation of this space. A couple other interesting spots in this garden as well. And then they have this. They needed to screen this neighbor here. This was plantings from 2018, and wow, look, in 2022, everything has grown up, and they've got some privacy in this space. And that's probably about the amount of time it takes. If you're planting, screening things, privacy things, you're probably going to need 3 or 4 years to, expect them to fill in and look that great. But this property has been amazingly transformed since 2018, and they've done a good job of documenting it in photos during that time. Thank you so much for sending these in. Next up are photos from Robert in Claiborne, Texas, apparently south of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, which is quite a big place over there. He has a small nursery in his backyard growing ornamental trees, and so starting basically with a blank slate here, and obviously there's a few of his trees he's selling, and you can see this space transforming here, and then along the driveway edge, interesting, great looking plants. This entire front garden becoming something completely different. A lot of folks can't do these kind of major front yard renovations like this because of regulations in their neighborhood, HOAs in their neighborhood. But I'm lucky enough to be in a neighborhood here where people can do this kind of thing. They can grow their vegetables in their front garden or whatever they want to do. But this looks great. I'm sure it's these are some things that will tolerate that Texas heat. And probably created a pretty low maintenance space, and very different than just that turf he was mowing every weekend. Looks great. Thank you so much, Robert, for sending these in, and great best of luck with your nursery operation in the future. Boy, are we about to see a transformation here. This is Christina, and she's in the Winston-Salem area of North Carolina. We call that the triad over there. The Raleigh area we call the triangle. It's Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. And over there in the triad, they have Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point. It's zone 7B, but I will say over toward Winston-Salem, it's probably more 7A-ish than 7B. You start to get into the foothills of Appalachia just a little there. It's a little more hilly, probably a few degrees colder at night than it is here in my area in Raleigh, but really a nice area up there. And you can be in the mountains super, super fast if you live over in Winston-Salem. This is a heck of a transformation. You can see the beginnings of it here where they've got some compost, maybe some pine bark soil conditioner blend there. And up under the porch, look at that space. And let's take a look at how they've utilized this whole area. There's the first photo with a nice path leading back up toward that space under the deck there. Another view back up toward the deck, and then here's another view. They've just completely and totally transformed this space. And in this last photo, we get to see up under the deck. Look what they did here. Created this interesting seating area where they get to look out into this beautiful garden space that they've created. This one is a heck of a transformation, and thank you guys very much for sending these photos in. This bed started in 2021, so it's not that long ago, and here we are, spring of 2023, and you can see how it's looking now. So thank you, Christina, for sending these in. Beyond the 1,300 plus gardening videos on the HortTube with Jim Putnam YouTube channel, there is also a series of videos over on my website called the Learn to Garden video series. You purchase it once and you own it. I've put about 8 months of content on it so far, and there'll be another year and 4 months. I thought I'd go through the entire year next year adding content. Again, you buy it once, you own it. It is videos from planning all the way through purchasing plants, planting, pruning, fertilizing, maintaining, mulching, all of those kinds of things in one consolidated group of videos. It should be between 40 and 60 hours of content ultimately, and there's a $25 off code down below this video. Here's another example of why I've loved opening all of these emails and seeing these amazing transformations. Here's a great before photo of a 6 foot tall fence. This is Lisa from San Antonio, Texas. This is Zone 9. They started back in 2015 on this project, and we'll see where we're heading to in 2023 here. Here's kind of the beginning of the work, putting the bones in, and I would definitely recommend this to folks if you're going to be installing trees, you're going to be installing larger material, if you're going to be installing paths, and kind of know where those things are going, and put what I would call the bones into the landscape first. If you can. You can't always do that. Sometimes you just can't find the plant you're looking for, and you're just reserving a space for it when you do find it. But if you can, put the bones in first, and it really allows you to stand back and take a look before you make the next step forward. And the next step forward for them was quite big. You can see these amazing raised beds. All the detail in this garden is amazing. The paths are amazing. All the garden art is amazing. And this is from 2015 to 2023 is basically 8 seasons. They've been gardening in this space, and just look how it looks now. They've got a nice mix of evergreens and some deciduous perennials and trees, but it'll have some structure here. Great structure in the wintertime as well. Absolutely beautiful space. And then here's the front. This is typically how people are going to buy houses, right? I called this back. I worked for a landscape company for, I don't know, 7 or 8 months, managing 3 crews, and we were doing new home construction type homes, and I called it 7 shrubs in a cloud of dust, because that's basically what we were doing. We were sodding the front garden, we were seeding the back garden, and we were putting in 7 shrubs, because 7 shrubs was the minimum requirement. Some towns had a tree requirement as well, and that was always a red maple. So I called those 7 shrubs, 1 tree in a cloud of dust. But that's how most of us, inherit our landscapes. And a lot of times those 7 shrubs are things that are going to get way too big for the 3-foot window that's in the front of the garden. And you can see, they've turned this into a really nice looking natural area out here in the front garden. I'm sure this is overall less maintenance during the year. It's probably quite a bit cooler out there as well, and that San Antonio heat. So thank you guys. Thanks, Lisa, for sending these in. They're great photos. That backyard is in what an oasis you've created. This is one I got 2 photos, of a before and after, and it's a great before and after because they line up exactly, with the photos. So we'll see that in just a second. Their email address doesn't even tell me what their name is, but this is a before and after from 2019 to 2022. My guess is this is in a slightly colder area, of the country, just based on the plants that I see being used in these 2 photos. But here's your before. Again, this is the kind of landscaping most of us are going to inherit on a newer house. Is just a few shrubs that were planted and some requirement. Although these actually look pretty good, and I like the shape of that bed. Here we go to, bam, there's the after. What a great transformation. I love the ground cover that they put in. It looks like they kept a few of the shrubs that were there. This ground cover is going to help, big time with, keeping the soil cool and that kind of thing. You just occasionally want to go in there and cut it away from the shrubs just a little bit to give them, a bit of a break from it. But I love the weeping tree, the berm in the background back there, the stone that's on it, the stone that they're using. They haven't used, they're in a very natural setting. So if you look around, where you're living and say, I'm in a very natural setting, so I'm not going to line up perfectly formal bricks and perfectly formal stones. I'm going to, put a half wall here and a few stones there. I think it continues to have that natural look, as if those rocks could have been there. Regardless, like they were just on the property in some way or another. I think that if you can fit, the kind of environment that you're in a little bit, that goes a long way in the design. I love the containers across the front. Just a great looking before and after photo. Thank you so much for sending these in. Next up, we have David down in Argo, Alabama. This is Zone 7B, and I guess if it's 7B in Alabama, it's probably middle to north Alabama someplace. Here we have the side of, this brick home that has a air conditioning unit over there, and the deck going up from that. It's probably very, very much how most side gardens look, because again, they're going to put those 7 shrubs on the front of the foundation, right? And if they don't have to do anything more than that, a lot of times they won't. And look how much this garden has transformed over time. So we've got a few photos of some, shrubs. This is, probably to the back right of that brick wall we were looking at. Great looking paths. I love the white picket fence, especially with that brick. Any kind of white you put. If you have a dark background, of a brick or dark stone, or even a wooded space where it's very shadowy behind it, white things really show up well in those areas, and they can make your greens pop even more as well. And then look at this, back over that little picket fence, back out into the garden, from where that original photo was taken from. We're looking about where he was standing for that first photo, I believe. Great colors out here, great use of green, red foliage, and again, that white picket fence really looks great. Or that, another view of some of the plantings. Here's back across that, through that arbor. This arbor is definitely creating a little room. That side garden has now become a little bit of a room. You're kind of intrigued as to what's back there. It's going to make you want to come around and go through that and see all the beautiful plantings that David has put into this space. But here's a view back up to the house from there. That looks like an Arizona cypress for sure, and then some hydrangeas as well. Just a great looking space. Great plantings, interesting plants throughout this garden, and thank you very much, David, for sending them in. This next set of photos was sent from Jess down in Decatur, Alabama. Actually used to live in Gibsonville, North Carolina. I know right where that is, over near the Triad as well. Moved down to Decatur, Alabama back in 2005, but this project is something they put in this summer, and it just really, really looks fantastic, as you'll see in just a second. Got that retaining wall there in the beginning, and then put down some underlayment for a path. Dug it all out, and then put this great looking path through here. I love the border on the path as well. It looks great to have that 2 different colors along this path. And then ended up with a seating area as you go through there, and then plants go in. What a great looking space. I love that, the retaining wall, the brick path. I like the use of, different natural materials together. Hydrangea paniculata looks amazing, and this little narrow planting area looks great, the seating area. But what a transformation that is from just a grassy space below a retaining wall into a very usable, interesting space that allows you to do all kinds of things back there now. Great looking photos. Thank you so much, Jess, for sending these in. This is a great front garden transformation. This is from Christie in Zone 5B in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania. So as you look out the front window, we can see there's ice or snow out there. That's probably some part of the year. This is the way this is going to look. I think I have another email from her as well for some back garden photos that we may end up seeing in another video at some point. This is just a completely revamped front garden. You can see there's a tree out there in what I call the hell strip, that area between the sidewalk and the road, which is always a difficult area to figure out how to landscape. But let's see how this front garden progresses. Look at this. This just a total transformation. Now, instead of the turf being the highlight of the garden, it's now the trail to get you through the garden. They do have some dogs that come along and pee. This is something you're going to have if you're going to plant plants out by a sidewalk like this. You're going to have dog urine on them, so make sure you're looking up salt tolerant plants. She's got some creeping thyme and some daylilies out there. That's 2 that are probably pretty good target plants. Avoid plants that can be damaged by dog urine. But there are lots of things that you can plant out there, and if the dogs hit them, they hit them, and it's not any big deal. Just looking for salt tolerant plants for that. Here's another angle of it. Just really looks fantastic. you know, outlined with these stones. Again, I love these front garden transformations. They're so inviting. It's a shame that a lot of places would definitely not allow this type of gardening, but I can't imagine, can't imagine why not, really, because it does look great. And here's one additional view, slightly back that different in another direction. They're using that little white fence, and an arbor out there. It's all super inviting. And here, I think this maybe progressed just a hair more, but it's really filling in nicely. So again, thank you very much, Christy, for sending these in, and thanks to everyone else as well. Just beautiful photos this week. So you can see how excited I am every time I get one of these emails, because these transformations are just unbelievable. Thank you guys for subscribing and following along with the channel, and I enjoyed all your notes about how the channel has had some impact on your gardening or your gardening style. And again, just keep sending those photos, horttube@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.